Hey, it's Amethyst Virgo. So I want to talk about power and this idea of power because it comes up a lot in astrology, especially with people who want to look at this mostly through the lens of only being able to see things through certain signs, right? Like, who are the signs we associate with power? Think about it. We think of Leo and the royalty and the king, queen energy. We think of Capricorn and enterprise and being the person who can control the outcomes of situations, who cares about achievement. We might even think about Aries energy and people saying like Aries is a leader. So we tend to have certain signs. However, power is very convoluted. Yes, we have the direct power, the person in charge, the person who makes all the decisions, the person who's on top. We have that very visceral power. We also have to understand that there's other ways to be powerful besides what society has embedded in us. So I want to take a brief look at the planets and see them as a continuum of power. Okay. Now, when we're thinking of the sun, this is personal power. This is star power, right? Because the sun is considered a star anyway, right? This is power that is concentrated in the person's being. You have power because you simply are. You draw and attract people because something is special about you. That is our sign ruled by, obviously, the sun rules Leo, right? So that's where Leo gets this powerful concept for it. As leadership, it's people like what Leo has to offer. Talent, recognizing talent, thinking of talent agents, thinking of performance. Those are Leo sun qualities. That is where we get power in terms of who we simply are. It is the talents embedded in you. So it doesn't mean you're not working hard, but you're getting power passed down even. If we think of king queen energy, that is about things being passed down, right? If you were a king or a queen in a previous life, or a princess or a prince or whatever, that was a part of your lineage. You didn't really have to do much but maintain the family namesake, right? So that's what we talk about with sun power. Sun power is, that's why your sun sign traits are important, because those are the things that you naturally feel confident in embodying. So when the sun, we talk about power, it's the ability to be seen. That's the power of the sun. Now, when we talk about the moon, here we have internal power. Here we know and we're smart about what we need to take care of. Here we get moon mother, we get magic power, we get intuitive power. And when a person is truly in tune emotionally with themselves, with others, you that then can inform your decisions. So it's less about the power of the sun. Anyone who's ruled by the moon or who has a very strong moon aspect in their chart, Cancer energy, so to speak. This type of power is the ability to truly understand something beyond the surface. And when you understand things beyond the surface, you can be very influential. A lot of times, think of what the moon rules, Cancer. So a lot of times people will accuse Cancer energy of manipulation. They manipulate me. They're manipulative. They're trying to use their emotions against me. But really, at its best, what Cancer energy, moon energy is able to do is influence how you feel. That is why moon mother energy is so important, nurturing you. How did your mother or mother figure make you feel? That is a power unto its own. That's why I tell people all the time that have any type of Cancer energy, Venus in Cancer, Cancer rising, anyone who sometimes may need to learn how to deal with their emotions, is that, any water signs, it's learning emotional intelligence will take you very far. When you understand people's emotions and when you understand your own tendencies, you then can predict certain things. So moon magic, even using the moon to predict what is going to happen, using the moon to make decisions in life. Oh, the moon is in a mutable house. Is that a good time for surgery? Right? It's a good time for investigative surgery, right? And we're trying to determine what somebody has, what's going on inside their body, right? Whereas certain times with serious procedures, the moon might be a better place. Or getting married, right? You could look at moon aspects to Venus. So the moon's power really is in the predictive quality of it, the intuitive quality to it. The sun is, we're seeing the sun right in front of us. The moon are things that we do not see in front of us, and that is powerful. Now, if we want to talk about Mercury, Mercury traditionally is a neutral planet. It is not feminine, it is not masculine, it is neither, positive or negative, it just is. And Mercury's power is in the information flow. When you are armed with information, you then can make decisions. The ability to think quickly on your feet, the ability to discern. So when we're talking about Mercury, we're talking about both parts, Gemini and Virgo. The ability to discern from Virgo, the ability to analyze, probe, quickly think. Gemini, the development of ideas easily, quickly, curiosity. Knowing what information you want to dive into, knowing what to say, asking the right questions, getting the right answers, observation, working with the information, finding a detail no one noticed. That's Virgo. That Mercury power has Mercury power of the mind. So Mercury is in control of the mind. That is why a lot of people get caught up with Gemini. Oh man, they played mind games on me. That's power. And when we start looking at power in different ways, we see the world in different ways. You see where you can get in and fit in, and you stop feeling so bad about, oh, my sign's not powerful. Every sign has power. You just have to know how to unlock it. And so with that energy, what you're getting with Mercury, that's why Gemini energy is noticed to be the trickster. If I trick you, I have to have some intelligence, do I not? Right? So that is where we get that trickster, clever, the full and tarot energy from Mercury. It is this trickster component. The mind is, you're able to discern what details you need to give someone in order to get their mind thinking a certain way. That is powerful. And with Virgo, Virgo's good at knowing that one thing. A Virgo can be in a group interview. A Virgo's in a group interview. And group interview, gosh, I'm glad I don't have to deal with this anymore. I don't mind group interviews when it's more than one person interviewing me. But back in the day with retail, they used to interview everyone they wanted to work at the store together. That was really uncomfortable. I get group interviews for positions where you have to meet with the CEO or meet with the director, and that makes sense to me. I get group interviews. I just don't like the group interviews where other candidates are there too. It's kind of strange. But that Mercury and Virgo person, they're going to know that one question to ask, that specific detailed thing that nobody else at that table knows but the people that work there. And then everyone starts to look at that person like, oh, wow, you really did your research, right? The mind spins very quickly, and Virgo knows the right thing to say. Gemini knows the right questions to ask to engage and get the information. Virgo knows the specific, that one little thing that's going to make the biggest difference. Picking up that one detail. So many things in the world have been stopped and changed because of that one detail. That is power. So if you're a Mercury ruled person, think about that as a power and not as just this thing that you have and the skill. Think about it as a power that you can add. Now, when we get into Venus, this is the power of influence. And sometimes we can look at influence different ways. You can have Jupiter's social influence in terms of the ideas, the expansion of something, spreading something. Venus is the influence of someone in a way drawn to you, people wanting to be around you, people liking to be in your presence, people thinking favorably of you. And when people think favorably of you, there's a lot you can get in return, right? There are favors, there are likability factors, there are, wow, there's something about them I just like. And again, we're not just talking about romance here. Venus's power is in the power of being subtly able to draw someone to you. Sometimes you can talk about Venus as a very sensual power that a person could possess. Venus in general can be really good in terms of partnership. And again, romance is usually the forefront, but not just partnership in terms of romance, but also people feeling connected to you instantly. The ability to have others like you, feel that they're comfortable around you. Venus energy after all is about being at ease, because neither Libra nor Taurus likes all that roughness. Notice that about Libra and Taurus energy. It's not about, now Taurus is the bull, but that bull is, when we think about the bull reacts as the bull when it feels its nature is disturbed. You disturb the Taurus's natural environment, that old energy is going to come out, right? And so when we're thinking of Venus's power, we also have to understand the money power. People with highly favored Venus aspects, Venus rulership, you are a Libra, you are a Taurus, whatever the case may be, Venus is going to help you in terms of your ability to gain favorable contexts. Sometimes it can be through money opportunities, that can be through business, being a good business owner. Because what is a business after all? Why does someone spend money on your product? They like it, they like you. So Venus is the likability factor, okay? And when we look at Venus through the money, in regards to money, that also can bring forth that type of power. You're good at commerce, you're good at saving, you're good at investing, you're good at bringing people into your world to invest in you. You want to start a business, you're someone that you notice, wow, I do have investors, I have people willing to work with me, right? Those people that you see going, wow, how did that person's social media platform take off so easily? They probably have a really pronounced Venus aspect. They might not be a Libra, they might not be a Taurus, maybe they're a Libra rising or something like that, or they just have really good favorable aspects to their Venus. Maybe their sun is conjunct their Venus or something in that regard. And so Venus's power is in drawing, attracting, again, beauty, being handsome, being attractive, being pretty, whatever is Venus rules. And that means you have an allure. People want to be around things and people that they feel are beautiful and comfortable, or things that are attractive, or people who are attractive, right? So that's a Venus power. And it's not about using, it is about literally you naturally embody what people want to be around. And that is a power. You could even see a person and you could be like, this isn't just about being an influencer or a model or something like that. We even can see people who are in politics or who are successful in terms of their career. That Venus factor, where people want to connect with you, they want to collaborate with you, they want to partner with you, they think you're a really good person, you're really good company. That is the power that we can see within Venus, right? An attractive energy, whatever you want to attract. Venus is that key indicator there. That is that type of power that some other placements cannot duplicate. You can be really successful and you can have a lot of money, but people don't like you. And maybe you're cool with that, but the Venus energy is the power of likability, of social ability, of people wanting to be around you and being in your presence, and people wanting to invest in you. Now, when we move forward to Mars energy power, as we already know, Mars is one of those planets we associate with power because we have dominance, we have aggression here. But really, Mars's power is in activity. It is in, I'm going to embody the action that I want done. Mars energy really channels the fact that power is important. Sometimes we do need people to take in the reins. If nobody ever wanted to lead, where would we be? If everybody just sat there looking at each other, like, you next, you next. Think about the Walking Dead or any of these shows you've seen about zombies, the apocalypse, or an apocalyptic society, where you have to have a leader. So Mars, we know we're dealing with Aries energy, that is outside power. And with Scorpio, we're dealing with internal power, where I'm not going to let you know right away what my power is, but I'm going to absorb and take from what I need, because I'm going to keep building this up, right? I'm going to keep getting and consuming this type of situation. So Mars means these are the leads. The power of Mars is about leadership, the ability to lead, the ability to want to lead. So anyone with a prominent Mars placement, that is the power. And it doesn't mean you're controlling every aspect of your life. You might go home and you're not running anything, right? You might not be running anything in your household, but when you're out in the world, you are running something. You are in charge of something. Mars energy also, we know about sexual energy. So these people who have really highly prominent Mars placement, there also could be power within the sexual nature of the person. That is something that they exude, right? Especially if you ever get a person that has, Venus conjunct Mars. There's typically some type of exuding sexuality there, and really drawing people in. People can be easily attracted. They can be easily want to be intimate with you in some way, right? With Mars energy there, whereas Venus is more the softness. Venus is sensuality. We have to know the difference between sensuality and sexuality. They're not the same thing, right? With sensual and sexual is not the same. Now, could they intertwine? Of course. But Mars energy power is that direct. I see it. I already know what type of power this person is trying to obtain. I see the action. It is action oriented. So if you are a Mars dominant person, you are action oriented. You know something must be done. Your power is that you don't really need to be led. That's power for you. You don't need to be led. You don't need to make the relationships together before doing something. You might not even need the time that Saturn needs. But Mars, that's Mars power. Now, that's the reason why Mars is more associated with power, because Mars is willing to get their hands dirty. They're willing to just get in the grind and do it. But as I'm talking about the themes here about the power of all the different signs, right? And the planets in particular, and starting to look at power through planetary energy and not just through 1 or 3 signs or that you think are powerful. Now, once we move on to Mars, we can move into Jupiter. So when we move into Jupiter, we have to understand that we are now thinking of social power. Venus have the ability to get likability, get people to like them or get people in. But now with Jupiter power, it's about the expansion, knowledge. I want everyone to know this. I want everyone to think this. I want everyone to experience this. People who have highly favored Jupiters are more influential, perhaps. When you look at people who are influencers or people who have been popular, I know that the go-to is the sun. The go-to is the sun. But when people have social capital, that is really a Jupiter situation, right? When people's messages spread, where people do a viral video, that's very Jupiter in nature, because Jupiter is about being able to influence and to be widely seen among groups of people. That's why, even though Jupiter rules the 9th house, it is highly favored in the 11th house as well, right? So with Jupiter power, you're a natural influencer. You might not even be an influencer on the internet, but maybe you are someone in your community or in your role within your social networks. You are the person that brings this kind of optimism to the group. So Venus is more about people are drawn into you, maybe this partnership one-to-one thing as well. But Jupiter is when it's not really about just what you look like, which could be more Venus and that draw in that way. But Jupiter is about the need for people to hear your message. They want to come around your message. You start to see that people are now doing what you said. People are believing what you believe. People are thinking bigger thoughts. They have knowledge. They have wisdom, right? That is this also spiritual journey that we can see through Jupiter. Now, as we know, Jupiter is the original ruler of Pisces. There is a connection there, but Jupiter is the modern ruler just only of Sag, as we know. But that is the influence of Jupiter's power, social presence. But it's not about like me, I'm powerful. It's the power of your message. And that people really want to listen to you because they see that if I listen to you, I'm going to grow. Expansion. That is the power of Jupiter. Expansion. A highly favored Jupiter placements, these people are going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And it may be a person with Jupiter in 4th house that's growing their family. Maybe a person with Jupiter in 9th house, it's about growing their experiences and being able to travel and such and such. The Jupiter 11th person is expanding their networks and such and such. The person with Jupiter in 1st is expanding their identity and who they are, and they're just growing and growing and trying to become the most knowledgeable they can about who they are. So that's the power of Jupiter. Influence, but it's benevolent influence usually. Okay, and of course, anything can be misused. But I'm not really talking about that in this particular video. But that's the benevolent nature of Jupiter. Jupiter is not trying to get you to really think anything. Now, a person with Saturn and Jupiter in the same house, or the chart will tell the story, but in general, Jupiter is about spreading awareness, and Jupiter is about this wisdom and coming and showing people, hey, this is the way. This is the way. That's power. Okay. Now, Saturn. So with Saturn's power, we have to understand that Saturn knows the direction we are going in. Saturn knows and understands what we need. Now, a lot of times we look at Saturn, we don't think of the spiritual dynamic of Saturn. But here's what I want to say about that. Like, we think of Saturn as this concrete earth cardinal energy about the goals. It's about tradition, etc. Got it. Let me get to that in a moment. But also with Saturn, remember, Saturn's the original ruler of not just Capricorn, but Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign that can be the sign seen with forward thinking, seeing things ahead of time. Sag is the prophet, but Aquarius is forward thinking. Hey, society, if we did this, we could have this. If we did this, we could do, you know what I mean? That's why science is attached to Aquarius. I'm going to create and experiment, and I'm going to, have to be, in the mix of trying to make something new in order for me to help everyone else and help the collective or whatever, right? The point that I'm trying to make with Saturn's power, since Saturn is associated with Capricorn and Aquarius, that's where you get Saturn's ability to see forward. Okay, Capricorn maintains the goal. The Aquarius part of Saturn is the approach to the forward thinking. Now, the thing I would say with Saturn power is this person or these people who are Saturn dominant, tend to have experience. They are serious. They know the path that has been taken before, and they understand why it must go that way. Tradition, I said in one of my other videos, the problem isn't tradition is bad, it's if tradition is oppressive, right? But we can't completely, society means nothing without things that came before us. Get what I'm saying? Society means nothing if we're going to cut off our past because we're modern people. That's a problem. Saturn is the preserver of tradition. Just like we have Uranus, let's get this modern stuff in, right? So Saturn preserves things because that have to go a certain way, because Saturn knows the end product. And Saturn's power is in, I know how to cut off my emotion. I know how to cut off all these popularity stuff. I know how to cut off all these relationship stuff. Saturn's power is in staying the course and having to be that parental energy. Saturn energy is very parental. Nope, you can't do that. Nope, you can't play outside. No, you can't go with them. Why? Well, I already know they're not good for you. Or I already know it's about to rain today. So Saturn is that parent energy. It's going to tell you no at first because it knows what you want to do is not good for you. And because of that, Saturn is associated with organization, structure, things that require authority is Saturn. Saturn is power in a way because Saturn represents authority figures, people in society who have more power over the procedures and how things in life go. So yes, we can see a more direct line to power with Saturn, but we have other ways in which that power shows, again, especially with the tradition. The point of all of this is to understand the why. Too many times in astrology, we're focused on the what and the complaining and the agony, but it's like the why helps you make this connection. Now, with Uranus as the modern ruler of Aquarius, Uranus here. Well, like I said before, I just started with Saturn as the preserver of tradition. Uranus is the preserver of new techniques, innovation, science, internet, unorthodox information, right? Even psychic rumblings, like psychic energy. Planets associated with the psychic is a couple of them for different reasons, though. You can have the moon, you have Jupiter, right? Prophet, more energy. Moon is the intuition of the immediate surroundings, just being intuitive being overall. You have Neptune, which is the spirit, the collective, universal energy, right? And Uranus, which is random spurts of thoughts, right? Uranus can see things that there's no real reason why, right? When you think of the energy of just having to know, having to really get information that is not direct. That's what I want to say. It's information that's not direct is Uranus, because Uranus can also be associated with, or is associated with, astrology. Okay, so it's information, it's interpretation, but it requires more of our thinking beyond the surface energy. And so with Uranus's power is in pushing the boundaries. Everything in life has had a person who had to start something. There has to be that first person. So sometimes we see Aries and Mars energy is the first to do something, maybe like first to try it. But it might still be something that we know is common. Like it's not unheard of for people to start their own business, right? So Mars might start their own business, but Uranus is, I'm going to do a business no one ever thought of. I'm going to be the first person to do X, Y, and Z. I have this weird invention. Here's society, and society might say, yeah, that's weird. But then in 10 years, you realize actually that person wasn't weird. So Uranus power sometimes does get put to the side because at the time, Uranus can be too forward thinking for people. It can be too forward thinking, too outside the box. Uranus and Aquarius energy can be light years ahead. And that's why sometimes people can't relate to it because they can't get in that mode of thought of thinking beyond the status quo. But Uranus reminds us, hey, change is coming. Uranus reminds us, hey, we have to shake stuff up. It's the person that comes into the job that everybody hates, but they know how to say, oh, I know why you guys hate working here. I'm going to fix these 3 things. And then now everyone feels a better work harmony. Do you get what I'm saying? Uranus's power is in knowing what needs to be done that has not been done before. It's going into a situation, and Uranus just sees, Oh, this is really uptight. Oh, I see what's missing, or I see what we need to do. There's no freedom here. There's no relaxation here. Uranus reminds us that, hey, in order for us to actually innovate, we have to have freedom beyond these boxes we put ourselves in. And so Uranus's power is in being the innovator, the creator, the original thinker. That is powerful because you now, when you're the original of something, you can do whatever you want to do. You're not following anybody else's rules. You get what I'm saying? So that's power. It's a different form of power. Neptune. When we deal with Neptune's power, now we tone it down a little bit because now we have to be in the mood. We have to be in the mood. We have to be in our spirit zone. We're slowing down. We're blocking off time. We don't care about time with Neptune. Neptune is infinite time. Neptune's power is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Neptune's power is connectivity to the collective consciousness, to universalism, to all of the Akashic records and all of these things, right? Meaning Neptune is the preserver of all things spiritual, okay? And then Neptune's preserver of things that are spiritual means Neptune understands that we sometimes have to evolve ourselves past what the world limits us in doing, and that we have to tap back into our full sensitivity. Neptune reminds us to dream. Neptune reminds us life would be boring without poetry, without music, without, for some of us, spiritual experiences. We just going to work every day, coming home, go to work. No, we need to feel inspired. Neptune energy's power is we need to remind the world that things can be beautiful. That's why Neptune is also the master of illusion. That's another power that Neptune has. What did I just say? It can be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Neptune knows how to shapeshift. That's power. If I know how to be what I need to be within a situation in order to merge into that for whatever reason, okay? Now, again, we're not talking about the character traits of a person where we can say, oh, well, isn't that a little bit duplicitous, right? We're not talking about that. But Neptune's power is in preserving spirituality. But remember, Neptune's not trying to get anything from it. We're not talking about game. We're not talking about popularity. We're not talking about being seen. We're not talking about those things. Pure Neptune energy is preserving spirituality as a sense of our spirit, and that we are all somehow connected. And that if we are all connected, then we all at some point have to understand this wavelength that we are all on. But because all of us are on different wavelengths, and some people are more tuned into their Neptune, they have the power to inspire us. They remind us something special about the world. They remind us that this is all a haze. That if we want to look at the world as we are now, right, as humans right now in 2021, this is all a haze. There's something more beyond the surface. Let me inspire you with inspirational thoughts. That's Neptune. That's why Neptune's way of still trying to get people, because not everybody's into spirituality, and everyone doesn't have to be. I think there's a problem. We don't need to recruit people. We need real spiritualists. We need people willing to do the work. We need people willing to do the processes and the rituals and the preservation and understand origins. We don't need everybody in spirituality. We don't. Nope. Because then we get this fake stuff, and then we get fake people, and then we're like every other community of a bunch of, you have to scammer here and there. Like, we don't. Nope. We don't need any more people in the spiritual community who don't get it. You're here for profit only. If you're here just to get fame and fortune, now there's nothing wrong, because some people are going to get fame and fortune through their gifts. You're meant to. If you're meant to be known for your gifts, it shows up in your chart. If you're meant to get money for your gifts, it's going to show up. That's fine. But the problem is when people don't know who they are, and then when it comes to spirituality, and then create this persona for themselves. So Neptune is beauty in terms of the things that inspire the world. Music. Think of your favorite song. Think of the most creative artist you know. That's power. It's power for Neptune to connect people across all races, ages, genders, orientations, and ethnicities. The fact that Michael Jackson, Pisces moon, Pisces rising, Virgo, his music, he had fans all over the world. That's Neptunian. That's Piscean. How do we take the human experience and make it so everyone feels that they can feel me? So those of you who have that Neptune feeling, you transcend all of those physical things. Neptune transcend. Now again, Neptune can be associated with illusion, the makeup industry, being beautiful. Right now, there is a part of that, but at the same time, Neptune also can represent that more spiritually evolved energy where we all collectively feel something on a human level. That's another way of power. Pluto. Okay, Pluto. Okay, we're dealing with Pluto. Wow. Pluto, as we know, is the modern ruler of Scorpio. And when we're dealing with Pluto's power, this is the power to completely change and transform and shake up anyone's world. I will say that sometimes Pluto's power can be quite traumatizing and devastating in some situations. Yes, some Pluto aspects, some Pluto transits can represent something very traumatic for some people, something that is very life-changing. So I do want to acknowledge that. However, also Pluto represents the ability for us to not just change in the moment. The moon can represent our change in our mood, right? The moon represents the change in our everyday life. Because remember, the moon in traditional texts is also associated with body, and the moon in many in other newer texts, people might talk about soul. Either way, remember the moon is in the fourth house. The fourth house is our home. If the fourth house is home, we know what's going on. The moon is really good with keeping home together. Pluto is, I'm going to now take it a step up. Pluto's ability to change is about, I'm going to now change the course of your life. And so that's when you see Pluto dominant people or people with Pluto in a predominant house, you are in some way in charge of changing something in dramatic ways. You're going to make some, you want to have to make sure that you're allowing that in your life. I see a Pluto 11th house person. You have influence, hardcore influence over the group. Don't manipulate them, right? Pluto can represent those really hardcore emotions that we go through that really change who we are. Pluto in society represents a change to the society or the fabric of society, right? So Pluto is a very powerful energy in terms of dramatic change, changing something into a new state. It is now no longer what it was. That is the difference between some of the other changes. Uranus is changing something, rebelling or something like that. Moon changing moods or tapping into certain things that require us to look at our immediate surroundings. Pluto's power is about absorbing something and completely changing some aspect of it. I'm now different. You went through XY experience. Now you're no longer the same. XYZ, whatever. Right? A person who might say, okay, yeah, 5 years ago, I moved to Ireland. It was the best decision I ever made in my life. Right? Pluto is, wow, I completely changed when I met this person. Pluto is, I changed after I had my first child. Pluto transit, or probably, well, Pluto doesn't change all that much. Pluto stays for a very long time. And so Pluto represents this more profound energy in terms of power. Because it's so powerful, it can represent I have control over your mind. I have control over what people think. People are now attached to this idea. So that's why Pluto you have to tread carefully with Pluto aspects, or you have to tread carefully with Pluto in anyone's chart, or when there's aspects to Pluto. Because remember what I was trying to say is that because Pluto stays in the same sign for a long time, it doesn't move very often. But when you have faster moving planets, that can really activate Pluto even more. And so Pluto's power is going to be in how it forces change. So when you're forcing change, you have a component where you are not just showing your power. Mars shows its power. It's dominant. Pluto is more embedded. It's insidious. It can go deep within. Pluto's power is subtle, but super able to ingrain it. So let me give an example. You ever watched a movie, a sci-fi movie or a horror movie where like something is implanted in someone and like, I don't feel like myself anymore. That's Pluto. Pluto has the ability. So people who have high Pluto, you have the ability to really control people. And I don't mean like a robot, but you can get in their heads, you can get in their minds, you can get in their emotions. So when we have Pluto aspects, and we have Pluto as a planet, it is important to understand how we are influencing people. You can definitely use Pluto as a way to influence people positively. We can totally, those Pluto and Scorpio people, you can get to the psychology of people and dive deep and help them uncover things they never thought. So I don't want to project Pluto as just this horrible, evil, controlling planet, but we do have to be honest in what it can produce. And then from there, you can look at your own chart, your own experience with Pluto, and understand the power of it. That was it. I didn't script any notes for this, so I'm pretty sure there's some things I could have said, should have said, but I wanted us to look at power and signs in a different way. Before I move on, that is why Scorpio is important, because Scorpio, all the signs are important. That's why Scorpio is important to Pluto, because Scorpio is about taking what you have and embedding it inside yourself, right? When we talk about power, how do you get power? How do you get power? You have to, in a way, take from something else. You're taking something when you get power, in a way, right? And the point of that with Scorpio is joining up. So at its best, Pluto is joining up. At its best, Pluto's influencing Scorpio dominant people to join up. Okay, it is influencing Scorpio people to join up, to share of themselves, to embed in a relationship, to be deeply involved in something, maybe not a relationship, right? It's to take something. Remember, Taurus is making, and in a way, Scorpio is absorbing. And from absorbing it, then understand his own personal power and wealth. So that's it for this video. I don't want this to be too long. If you liked it or liked something you heard, make sure you hit the like button.